We are now recording. Best behavior. So I'm going to show you how to use the calculator. We're skipping the do now. Actually, I first have to show you how to get your calculator into the right setting. Are you ready? So be quiet.
Sorry.
So what you want to do is right now, if your calculator is brand new, only if you have the graphing calculator. If you have the chemistry calculator, you're good. Right? If you have the graphing calculator and your calculator is brand new, or you've taken it from somebody in pre-calc, it's probably in the wrong setting. We want to make sure that it's in degrees, not radians. The way you do that is you go to mode. If you're on the computer, you are also doing this. The computer calculator, you're also doing this. We're going to mode. I have my calculator up and I'm pressing the buttons. All you have to do, Sam, if you can't see, just go back to your seat. Okay, so we're pressing mode. And then if you notice 1, 2, 3, 4 rows down, if yours is highlighted black on radian, you need it highlighted black on degree. So what you're going to do is you're just going to use your cursor on the calculator, go down, and then use your right cursor. So now it's blinking black on degree. You're going to press enter. And now it's set. If this is your calculator, it will now be like that forever. People that are on their computers, anytime you sign out or sign back in, you're going to have to redo this. When you get your new calculator, you want to do this because it will be programmed on radian from the beginning. Now to get out of this screen, you're going to press graph and then clear. All right, so now everyone's should be in the right mode. All right, so we're starting off simple. I'm saying use a calculator to find the value of each to the nearest 10,000. So we are going to be, oops, I forgot my. All right, so we are rounding to the nearest 10,000th. What I want you to do is we're going to type in sine of 77 degrees. What does this mean? They're saying if I have a right triangle and one of my acute angles is 77, the side opposite the 77 and the hypotenuse, because that's what sine is, right? Opposite over hypotenuse, will make some ratio. What is the ratio it's going to make as a decimal? That's what we're going to find out. So we're going to type in sine. Now, if you look right over here, it's right under the apps button. It says SIN. That's what you're going to press, sine. And then you'll type in 77. You do not need to close the parenthesis. If you want to close the parenthesis, it's right above the 9. Sometimes I'll close it, sometimes I won't. It's up to you. And then we will press enter. So now if I write out this whole decimal, I will get 0.97437000648. Now, I want to round to the nearest 10,000th. Remember, after the decimal is the tens, then the hundreds, thousandths, 10,000ths. We're going to go one beyond that. So I'm going to the 100,000th. And now if this number that I have in the box, the rules of rounding, if this number is 5 or bigger, we round up. If it's less than 5, don't tell me we round down. What do we do? If it's less than 5, not up, no. We keep it the same. I said, don't tell me round down. We keep it the same. So now this is going to be approximately 0.974. What do I do with that 3? Do I make it 4 or do I keep it 3? 4. You got it. I was about to yell? Why? Why would I yell at you? I don't yell. Yelling is not what I do. Okay, you guys do number 2. To the nearest 10,000th. You're confused? Why? What's wrong? I don't know. I thought somebody... I don't know who said it. Maybe I heard wrong. All right, what should you have done? We should have pressed the tangent button and then 22, enter. And the decimal we have is 0.4040262258. All right, so again, we have our tenths, hundredths, thousandth, 10,000th, and then we look at the 2, the 100,000th. All right, what is the rule? If it's 5 or bigger, round 1 up. If it's less than 5, what do? Keep it the same. So this is going to be approximately 0.4040. We have to put the 0 there, even if it doesn't make sense to you, because you're like, okay, well, this is the 100,000 spot. It doesn't the 10,000 spot. It doesn't really change its value. But because I asked you to round to a specific spot, you have to show me where that spot is, even if it's a 0 there. Yes. We have to put the square root of meaning the approximate? No, equal is fine. Yes. On the test, you have to write the full form. No, you just round right away. On the test, I will have everything rounded to the nearest 10th. Everything on the test will be rounded to the nearest 10th. We'll practice that later in today's lesson. All right, so let's go on to this next part. It's going to be a little bit more complicated. Also, if you guys forget the steps, I have them typed out above each section that we're doing. Okay, so this is saying the tangent of some angle A is equal to 2.0503. What does this mean? It means we have a right triangle. We have an acute angle A. If I pair the side across from angle A over the side adjacent to angle A, I'm going to get this ratio that's in decimal form right here. And what I'm asking you is what angle would make that ratio? What angle, if I pair the side across from it to the side adjacent to it, will make this ratio? Right. Well, this is where the calculator comes in. I need to solve for A. I need to solve for the unknown, which is the angle. And in order, think back to algebra, in order to solve for an unknown, I have to isolate it. I have to get rid of everything that's with it. So in this scenario, do we all agree I have to get rid of tangent? Yeah. But I can't just divide by tangent without an angle. Remember I told you sine, cosine, tangent, they always need an angle with it. So I can't just divide tangent without its angle. So what I have to do is I need to get it to cancel out. And the way I get it to cancel out is I multiply by the inverse of tangent, which is the opposite. And the way you do that is you write it as tan raised to the negative first power. Let me rewrite this. We have the tangent of A. So what I'm going to do on both sides, I'm going to multiply by the inverse of tangent. And when I multiply by that inverse of tangent, what happens is the two tangents on the left side cancel each other and only the A is left. And this is what I'm putting in my calculator. Now, for the test, the whole test will be calculator. You'll have your test the whole time, the calculator on your test the whole time. Right? What work do I need to see? I do not need to see this middle part where you're like canceling out the tangents, but I do need to see what you're typing into your calculator, which is this part. So how are we going to type this into our calculator? Well, do you guys see on your calculator where it says tangent, right above it, doesn't it say that tan raised to that negative first power? That's what we want. We want that blue one. We want the tan raised to the negative first power. The way you're going to get that is you're going to press the blue second button and then tan. So second, tan. And then we're going to type in our decimal 2.0503, enter. And now this says round to the nearest degree, but I want to practice rounding to the nearest tenth. since that's what the test is going to be. So you tell me 64.02. What is that to the nearest 10th? 64.0. Do we need that 0.0? Yes, because I asked you to round to the nearest 10th. Is it not 64.0?
I think you missed the 0 between the 5.
Oh, did I miss something? I'm sorry. All right, second 10, because I made mine so minuscule, I can't even see what I'm typing. 2.0503. Oh, you're right. This was 63.999, which is still going to be 64, but what do I have to put? 0.0 degrees. What's wrong, Owen? Why are you complaining?
I'm not complaining.
But you are.
I swear to God, I'm not complaining.
Okay. Sam?
0. Wait, did you say we have to do it? Or like, the question just says it's nearest 10th.
I told you to change it to the nearest 10th. We all changed it. Why did I put 0.0? Matt, was that your question?
Yeah.
Because when we rounded up the 0.9, right, that made it 1 over to the whole numbers, right?
Yeah.
So we had to make this into a 64, and that became a 0.
But then the next number is 9, so wouldn't it be 64.1? Because it.
No. Because no, you don't just go to the next number after that. We just round to that spot and stop. So it's 64.0.
Oh.
Yes.
On the test, would you mark off if you just put 64?
Yes. All right, you guys try number 4. You guys try number 4 on your own. It's very similar to number 3 in the process, but instead of tangent, it is cosine. All right, what should you have done? You should have done z is equal to the inverse of cosine of 0.1219. This is what I would need to see on your test also. I need to see that you wrote that down. So what you're going to do is second cos, and then you type in 0.1219, enter. And now we are 82.99. So what is that? 83.0. You got it, degrees. If it were a fraction, you mean? Like if it were, because you can't simplify 1219. Oh, you should not do that. You want to keep everything as long as possible until you come to round your final answer. Actually, rounding things too early actually gets you the wrong answer. All right, so let's go on to the next section. So here it's saying find the measure of the indicated angle to the nearest, let's change that, Sam, to the nearest 10th. All right, so what's going on here? I have a right triangle. I have an unknown angle. I have theta. That's what we're trying to solve for. Everything's about theta. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the two sides that were given to us. I do not care about finding the third side. Have no interest in finding the third side. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to say, well, the 51 in reference to angle theta is opposite theta. The 55 is the hypotenuse. So what did I do? I identified the two sides that were given to us, and I labeled them either opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse based on the unknown angle. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to SOHCAHTOA, and I'm going to ask myself, which trig function pairs the opposite and the hypotenuse? Sine, cosine, or tangent? SOHCA or TOA? Sine. So what this is going to be, we're choosing sine as our winner. I'm going to say sine. It can't stand alone. What does it have to be? Sine of, what is it? Theta. Sine of theta. Theta represents an unknown angle. That little O with a loop through it, that represents an unknown angle. So sine of theta is equal to the opposite, which is 51, over the hypotenuse, which is 55. Don't go ahead of me. Stay with me because I'm going to show you how to type it exactly into your calculator to get you the right answer. Do we all agree now I have to solve for an angle? That theta is an unknown angle. In order to solve for that unknown angle, do we agree we have to get rid of the sine? But get rid of the sine without getting rid of the angle. Who remembers how we do that? Sebastian?
Sine, and then like the -1.
Good.
On both sides.
Yeah, we're going to do the inverse of sine on both sides. And when we do the inverse of sine on both sides, what we end up getting is theta is equal to the inverse of sine of 51 over 55. I'm going to show you how to type this into your calculator just like that. Is everyone caught up? All right, so go to your calculator. We need the inverse of sine. Who remembers how to get that -1? What do we have to press? Riley? Second, good. So I'm going to press second and then sine. So that gives me the sine to the -1. Then we're actually going to type in that fraction. I'm not changing it to a decimal, then typing in the decimal. I'm going to type in the fraction. So we're going to have 51, type in 51, the division sign. After the division sign, 55. And then this time I'm going to choose to close my parentheses to make sure that it's all grouped together. And to close your parentheses, it's right above the 9. And then enter. And I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. So what is this going to be? Theta is approximately 68.0. All right, division sign, yeah. You guys try letter number 7. You guys try number 7 on your own.
I got a question. Is an exponent of -1, is that just a square root?
You mean the raised to the negative first? Is that what you're saying? No. A square root is a fraction, is when your exponent is a fraction. It would be a half. So a square root would be raised to the half power. -1 just means you're moving down to the denominator. So if like I have 2 raised to the negative first power, that's 1/2. All right, can we go over this? Who wants another minute? We're ready? All right, so what should we have done? So the first thing is we have to figure out which trig function we're using. So I'm looking at my unknown angle, which is theta, and I notice 19 is adjacent to theta and 27 is the hypotenuse. So we're back to SOHCAHTOA. And which trig function pairs the adjacent and the hypotenuse? Cosine. So cosine cannot stand alone. So I'm going to say cosine of theta equals 19/27. Because we're solving for an angle, I'm going to do the inverse. So we're cos to the negative first power of 19/27. In your calculator, you should have pressed second cos, 19 divided by 27, enter. And if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, we get theta is approximately 45 point. Nope, not 2. 3, we round up, right? 7 is bigger, 5 are bigger. So you always look at the number past it.
Oh, so you look at the 7 and then change
The 2. Yep, look at the 7 and change the 2. All
keyboard.
right, so
Wait, what should the value for that one not be?
it's fine. It should all be approximate because I rounded, but I'm fine with equal signs. All right. Just something for your knowledge. The only time we press second on the calculator is when the unknown is an angle. If the unknown is not an angle, when the unknown is a side, we don't press the second button on the calculator. Okay, I will say it one more time. The only time you press that second button on the calculator is when the unknown is an angle that we're solving for. If the unknown is one of the sides, we do not press the second button. So let me show you what I mean. Let's go to number 8. Oh, I don't want to go to number 8. We've done enough of these, right? You guys get this? The missing angle? Let's go to the next page. Again, this says round to the nearest whole number. I do not want to do this. Round to the nearest tenth. All right, so now we're looking at this. Everything's in reference to the angle that's given to us. What angle's given to us? 31. Do we ever use the 90 as our reference angle? Never. Never use the 90, only the acute angles. Now, x is opposite, and 10 is adjacent. So we're going back to SOHCAHTOA. Which trig function pairs the opposite and the adjacent? TOA, tangent. So we have tangent of what? What do I put with it? Tan, Maggie? 31. It always needs an angle. You can never just write it by itself. So tangent of 31 is our opposite side, which is x, over our adjacent side, which is 10. So back to our algebra skills. I need to solve for x. In order to solve for x, it needs to be completely isolated. It needs to be by itself on the side, on that one side. So in order to isolate the x, do we all agree I need to get rid of the 10? The 10's being divided. So to undo division, we multiply by 10 on both sides. So here the 10's cancel, Sebastian. And what we end up with is x is equal to 10 times the tangent of 31. And this is what we type into our calculator. Are we ready? So in the calculator, I'm going to type 10 for 10. I'm going to press the multiplication button, but technically you don't need to. You actually don't have to, but I'll press it. So I'll press times. Do I press the blue second button for tan, or do I just press tan?
No.
Just tan. And then 31, enter. And if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, it's 6.0.
Is it okay if I multiply 10 at the end? As long as I close the parenthesis.
Yep. All right, you guys try the next one. You guys try number 11. Who wants another minute? All right, so what should we have done? So everything's in reference to the 40. I have x is opposite. I have 19 as the hypotenuse. Which trig function did you choose? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Sine. So I can't write sine by itself, so it's sine what? 40. So sine 40 degrees is equal to the opposite, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 19. We need to solve for x, so I'm going to multiply by 19 on both sides. So we get 19 times the sine of 40 is what we type into our calculators. So 19 times sine 40, enter. And you should have gotten x is equal to 12.2. All right, 2 more problems. Yes? Yep. Oh, Cam, could you just wait to see, because the next one's different? Just wait and then go. All right, next one. Number 12. So here again, we're doing the same process. Everything is in reference to the 74. What is 19? Opposite, hypotenuse, or adjacent? Adjacent. What is x? How do you know that it's the hypotenuse and not the adjacent for x? Good, because it's across from the right angle. That's how we know it's the hypotenuse. So which trig function are we using this time? Cosine. Cosine of what? 74. So cosine of 74 is the adjacent, which is 19, over the hypotenuse, which is x. What is different about this problem? Matt?
X is in the denominator.
Good. X is in the denominator. You cannot solve for a variable in the denominator. You must get it out of the denominator and then solve. How am I going to get it out of the denominator? I'm going to have you multiply. I'll rewrite it so you guys can see the original problem. So we have cos 74 equals 19 over x. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply by x on both sides. And when I do that, the x's on the right side cancel. And then my x now gets placed on the left side. So I'm left with x, oops, want that. I get x times the cosine of 74 is equal to 19. How would I now just solve for x? What should I do? I need to get rid of the cosine 74. Isn't it multiplication between the x and the cosine of 74? And now because that cosine, I have to get rid of the whole cosine 74, not just cos and leave the 74. I want to get rid of the whole thing. Now I can divide it on both sides. So I'm going to divide by the cosine of 74. So x will equal 19 divided by the cosine of 74. So I go to my calculator, and this is exactly what we're going to type in. 19 division sign cos 74. 19 division sign cos 74, enter. And if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, x will equal 60, not 70, 69.0. All right, you guys do the last one. Cam, you could go to the bathroom now. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you close or not the parentheses on the calculator.
No, I usually close it. In certain scenarios, it will matter, like if there's other operations that are coming after it. It's a good habit just to close it, but in the ones we've been doing, it will not matter. Are we ready? All right. So to go over this, we have everything based on the 38. 20 is opposite 38, and x is adjacent to it. So we are using tangent. Tangent of 38 is equal to 20 over x. Can we solve for a variable in the denominator? No. So I have to get it out of the denominator. So we'll multiply by x on both sides. When we do that, the x's on the right cancel. So now I'll have x times the tangent of 38 is equal to 20. I need to solve for x, so I will divide by the tangent of 38. So in your calculators, what should you be typing? You should be typing 20 divided by the tangent of 38, enter, and we will have 25.6. How many people got that? Perfect. Don't pack up just yet. We are done learning. Let me stop sharing.